For all of us, baptized Christian, all of us are members of the royal priesthood. And so we have an obligation to proclaim the gospel as priest. We cannot confine the priesthood just to attend Mass, to offer sacrifices to the Lord. The task of a priest is also to evangelize, to proclaim the gospel. Because who is a priest? A priest is a bridge between God and man. And so our task as Christians is to be that bridge, so that people will come to know God through us. And when they come to know Him, they will worship Him. In worshiping Him, they will be sanctified. And when they are sanctified, they in turn will sanctify others by bringing more people to the Lord. So our priestly task is fundamentally a missionary task. It cannot be just confined to rituals and worship. It is an announcement of the good news. It is making contact with the Lord so that we can render Him worship, and also, most of all, by a life of holiness. We have to avoid being too parochial-minded, whether in a parish or in organizations. Very often, leaders tend to be more concerned about the organization that they lead or the parish that they are in, parish ministries, for example. And we tend to be very narrow-minded, very parochial-minded, thinking that our work is simply to maintain the parish, to maintain the parishioners, to help they will continue to come back to church, to give some donations for the maintenance of the church, and to provide their spiritual needs. And we think if we have done that, we have done our priestly duty. But the truth is, my dear brothers and sisters, it is not enough to be just taking care of our own parishioners. Every Christian must have this perspective of bringing the gospel to those who do not know Him. It is not enough to keep on converting the converted. We need to convert the unconverted. And so sometimes when we pay too much attention inwards and we forget the larger group of people that we are called to address, this is where the church eventually will die, like some ministries, because they are too inward-looking. They are not evangelizing enough. And eventually those organizations that are only catering to the spiritual needs, whatever needs of the people alone, eventually they will die. The sign that we are growing is when the church and your community produce people who are devoted to Christ, those who are drawn to priestly religious vocations, those who are building faith communities. There are a lot of young people in the church. There is vibrancy. People are going for faith formation. These are the signs. Not how many ministries you are and how well you do this and how well you do that. It is the question of mission. If our people are not bothered about mission, evangelization, then it will be inward-looking and we will die. Of course, in order for them to go for mission, we need to look after their faith. Then formation, of course, is important. But as I say, always with a view to ask them to go out. That's why one of the ways we know whether our church is growing or not is the number of baptisms, not the number of people attending our church, because number of people come from many places. These are already the converted. It's the number of unconverted people. The number of lapsed Catholics we brought back to church, perhaps. It is important, again, the need to take initiative. Many of us, we keep on preaching the gospel to the converted. That's the whole problem. That is why sometimes when Christians want to convert Catholics, I say, try to convert the non-Catholics first. rather than converting the Catholics. Because it's important that many people, come to know Christ. That is the most important thing, to love Him, to worship Him. And so it's very important for us to be creative, to see how we can reach out to others. But very often, even in spite of this COVID-19 pandemic, we are still very fixed in our mindset. We are not using the technology that the world is using. The world is advancing even during this COVID-19 pandemic. They become more resourceful. In fact, we know there are many companies making tons of money because of the pandemic. Not all are losing money. In fact, some are growing in numbers simply because they are creative. If only the Lord said we use our creativity, resourcefulness, our initiative in using it to proclaim the gospel, how much more we can do. We must, my dear brothers and sisters, get more people, business leaders, professionals, our workers, to use their skills in the secular world for the building of faith and the promotion of the gospel.